We are live and this is so exciting. We are going to be doing this most amazing website performance consultancy. We are going to be looking at the websites that you all have submitted with our professional at hand. We've got Lvailo. He's coming in hot, coming in. It's exciting, y'all. He's coming in. He is the founder and CTO of Nitropack. Hey, there he is. So happy that you are here with us.
Hello, everyone.
You. Hi, wonderful. Thank you for being here and for walking us through this. Everybody is sitting on the edge of their chair. Really, really excited about this. Glad you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, strap in because we're going to go fast.
Okay, all right.
All right. So just a quick intro. So my name is Lvailo, as you already mentioned. I'm with Nitropack, the CTO of Nitropack. And at Nitropack, we do site speed, performance. So we're going to have a quick session about performance, and we're going to go over a few websites, see how they're fair and how we can optimize them. So the general structure of this is I'm gonna try to leave some room for Q&A because I find Q&As to be very helpful and very interesting and fun. So we're also gonna go over how to differentiate and how to interpret results from RUM and from lab. So these are the real user metrics and also the lab metrics. So I think it's very important to know the difference there. So we're going to spend a little bit more time on that. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat, and I'll try to answer as much as I can.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So let's see. We have these websites now. Okay, so we have a few websites already loaded, and we're going to be using the Google PageSpeed Insights tool for looking at the performance of these websites, because two main reasons. And as I mentioned, RUM is very important, and RUM actually stands for Real User Monitoring. So this is data that is actually collected from the devices of your visitors. So this is how they actually experienced your page. And the PSI tool is the one tool that can actually give you this information for free out of the box. You don't have to do anything. If your website has sufficient traffic, you will have data here. So this should always be your first kind of thing to look at and your starting point. And then this is how you identify areas where you can improve and which areas you want to improve first. It is possible that everything is looking nice, actually, and that's also a good thing, because it means that even though you might have areas for improvement of your website, you can still be delivering very good results and performance to your visitors, which is actually what's going to matter at the end of the day. So the lab performance score and the performance results, they are something that is calculated in a specific environment under specific conditions, and there are some mathematical formulas applied to the end result to estimate how things are going to look like in the real world, but you can never be an exact match, or the results can actually sometimes be wildly different. So that's why also Google is investing in this Core Web Vitals and the real user monitoring, so they can give you kind of a way to measure what is really happening with your website. And this is what Google is actually taking into account when they're ranking your website and when they're looking at the performance of your website. It's not actually looking at the lab results. So here in PSI, just to PageSpeed Insights, just to kind of give you an overview of what we're looking at, it's divided into a few sections. And this first section right over here in the top is the real user data. And this is the Core Web Vitals assessment for the website. It is available when you have sufficient traffic, which is an undisclosed amount of traffic, but This is how it is. And below that, you get the lab results. So this is what you get from the specific lab environment that is running the test. So you can always get actually results from lab, but if you don't have enough traffic, this section can be empty. So if you're just starting a business or just starting your website, this could be empty. So this is all that you can rely on. And I would also like to go over the different metrics and how to interpret this, what they mean, and then how to fix them. All right, so starting with this specific website, we can see that it has it struggles somewhat with LCP, with INP, and with CLS, which are actually the three core web vitals. So these three metrics form your final assessment for core web vitals, and you can be either failing or passing the assessment. And in order to be passing all of these three metrics individually, each one of these should be in the green zone. So these measure different kind of performance and user experience kind of numbers, and they have different thresholds. So LCP is the thing that measures how fast your main content of the website is displayed to the visitor, and it's considered good if you are able to display this under 2.5 seconds. So this is how you are going to be in the green zone. And the next one is INP, which is a metric for measuring how quickly can your website respond to interactions. So that's also another very important factor for measuring the overall user experience of your website. INP is good if it's under 200 milliseconds. So the goal here is to not have the user click on something that should do an action. Let's say they click on a button that should open a pop-up. The pop-up should open within 200 milliseconds. Otherwise, it's going to be not in the green zone, and you can go into the orange or the red zone here. So the last metric is CLS, which again is focused around user experience. It measures how stable, how visually stable your website is. So the lower the score, the more visually stable your website is. So this metric is kind of aiming towards giving you a way to know whether your website is causing kind of frustration when users are trying to browse and use your pages. Your website should load, and all of the elements should be positioned where they need to be from the very beginning. There shouldn't be any repositioning of elements, changing because this thing happened, that thing happened. So if everything is stable, you are gonna have a low score for this. This metric doesn't have any kind of unit, so it's just a number, and you want it to be ideally 0. So the limit here is 0.1. So now that we know this, we can also go over those metrics on the bottom, that they're also kind of important. So FCP and FID are also kind of related to what they are positioned below. So FCP is kind of a sub measurement of LCP. This is the first contentful paint. So the first thing that paints on your website is measured by this metric, and then FID is the input delay, but FID is kind of being deprecated because it's already within the measurement for INP. And last, which is very actually interesting metric, is the time to first byte. This is very closely related with LCP, because LCP actually it's a multi-part metric, so it has multi-stage metric. It has takes into account different stages of the loading of your web page to form the final result. And time to first byte is entirely included within LCP. So the lower you can get this number, the lower you can get your LCP. So if this, for this website, we can see that time to first byte is 1.4 seconds and the LCP is 3.9. If we are able to cut this in half, so let's say make it 700 milliseconds, we'll be able to shave off 700 milliseconds straight off of here. So this is going to put us on 3.2 seconds right away. So it's really, really nice to take a look at this and pay attention to your time to first byte, because optimizing it is also becoming more. There are more ways to deal with this in a fairly automated ways. So you should be looking at your at caching, at probably CDN for your websites and edge caching, things like that. And you can really gain some speed with this one.
We do have a question from the chat. I just pinned it here.
Yep.
So what's that difference between this and Google Analytics?
So depends on what you're looking at Google Analytics, but because, for example, this is kind of embedded in Search Console. For Analytics, it's also actually I haven't looked at Analytics recently, but previously it used to be somewhat similar. With Google Analytics, the nice thing is that it's also kind of more granular, and you can look at shorter periods of time. So let's say you want to see how things are faring for the last 24 hours or the last week. Whether kind of a quirk with this Crux measurements is that you are always looking at a 28-day
I see.
rolling number. So this is what's called the percentile number, the 75th percentile. So that means out of all of your visitors, they are sorted from the quickest, the lowest number to the highest number. It's calculated like they figure out what is the let's say if you have 100 page views, the 75th percentile is going to be at position 75, and this is what the number is picked there. So it's kind of a weird formula. Yeah, but with Analytics, you can get a more you can choose a different way to slice the data and to graph it and to get different percentiles, things like that.
Got it. Wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you.
And also, it is possible to collect this RAM data from also different third-party providers. It's not needed to use Google. And if you are just starting and you don't have sufficient traffic, it's actually a nice idea because you will not be seeing anything here. But if you use a dedicated solution for this, you will be seeing the data for every single page view.
Excellent.
And actually, that's been one of the things that we've been working with. We've been working on in Nitropack. So it's very interesting and gives you really. You can really see what's happening with your website.
Wonderful.
So yeah, I feel like I'm taking too much time on this. So
yeah, let's move. Let's do it.
We're gonna move to the lab tests. And as I mentioned, these lab tests are the things that is not always reflecting the experience of your visitors, but it's a consistent thing. So that's why it's very important. Once you figure out what you need to improve, you can kind of rely on these two to produce fairly stable results, and you can then do changes to your website and see how the measurement changes here. So let's say for this website, we see that it's estimating a large LCP. As we can see, it's not reflecting the reality too very well, but still we know that we are struggling with LCP and we want to improve it. So this is what we'll be looking at. We'll be doing some iterations on our website and some updates, and we can run, after each update that we do, we can run a new test with this analyze button. This is going to analyze the website fresh, and we're going to see whether we actually made things better or worse. And you can do this with any metric, and that's the nice thing about lab instruments. We have a lot of these. You're probably familiar with a lot of tools. There's PageSpeed Insight. There, like GTmetrix is very popular, like Pingdom, everything, web page test, you name it. But just be mindful that you need to use this for when you're iterating and trying to improve your website performance. And when you're happy with the changes that you've done, let's say you bring this down to 9 seconds after a thing that you did, you can then leave it for a few days and then measure your real user data to see how this actually affects your the experience of your real visitors. And going slightly further down on this page, we can see the different loading stages for this website, and this can oftentimes help us identify certain issues, and we're going to see this in the few other examples. But for this website, we also see that we struggle with CLS, and this value, which is 0.5 roughly, means that about the content moves about the half of the height of the screen. And we can also see this in the film strip here. You can see how this website loads initially, and then something happens and the content is shifted about the half of the height of the screen. So that's how this number is actually calculated and what it means. And we can see that something happens here. This gives us a direction of where to look at for problems. What's loading here? Is it an ad? Is it some kind of a pop-up or message that we want to convey to the user? What is it? And when you figure out what is it, you can figure out a way to make it load where it should be from the very beginning. Common issue is that your website renders something initially, and then your JavaScript starts loading, things are trickling in, and then other things and elements start loading at a later point, and they are moving other elements on the page. They're kind of shifting around, and this is actually a bad user experience, and you should aim to remove these. So there are a few things that you can do. Typically, you will set up a placeholder for this. So even in the initial render, your website will have the placeholder that, for example, if this is for an advertisement, you can later put your advertisement in that placeholder, and everything else is going to remain visually stable. So this is a better user experience than showing the website like this initially and then shifting it
Awesome,
down.
Ilya. We have about 6-7 minutes left, so this has been really.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Time is flying.
Well, yeah. Okay, so cool. I guess I would like to also show you some other examples of things that you should be looking at before the time runs out.
Thank you.
And for this website is also something that I wanted to point out is that some metrics are actually not always collected. And for this website, for example, we don't have INP. This is perfectly normal, so don't get alarmed if you see something like this. But also it's an indication that either no interactions are happening on your website, or if they're happening, there's probably an issue with collecting the data, but typically you want to have interactions. So you might be thinking about why people are not clicking around the website. And also for this website, you can see that this is a very good example of the difference between lab measurements versus real user measurements. You can see how this website is loading actually very quickly. LCP, CLS, everything is very good. Time to first byte, very good. But down there, if you just run a lab test, you can see that the score that it gets is actually very low. So this is because the lab score is, again, kind of calculated from a formula. So it's an estimate. And for this specific case, the fact that it has a low score doesn't really correlate with the user experience, and people are having a great time browsing this website. But again, you can use the lab results to kind of figure out what to improve there. And when we're looking for what to improve there, we also get this area down here, which helps us a little bit with information for what might be going wrong. And for this website, for example, we can see, let's say we want to optimize the LCP, which is actually the LCP element. When did it start loading? So for example, with this load delay section, we see that it starts loading quite late in the page lifecycle. So that's an indication that there's either a lazy loader in place or some other script that is running that is blocking it. So look into ways to unblock this. Use resource hints, things like that for optimizing LCP. Especially focus on your main images. That's a common issue. Make sure that this main image is loaded as early as possible. This is kind of the main kind of information that I wanted to provide, and the rest of the examples are just more of these things. I would like to just give a little bit of time to answer some questions. So maybe, Jen, do you know if we have?
So how do we fix page speed and so just some general questions around some quick fixes for this.
Yeah, it really depends. The reason why we with these talks we are always kind of it seems like we're talking general things is that it really depends on the case. For each and every case it's different, but mostly it falls into some common patterns. LCP is one of the things that is typically harder to fix, and most commonly sites are struggling with that. So LCP, as I mentioned, just look at your time to first byte and try to make this like we saw in this example, like a half a second is a great time to first byte. Make sure that you have this and this is stable, and then move on to improving like how you deliver images. Try to ship like optimized images. Do not ship like a lot of HTML, like a huge DOM. Be mindful with CSS, because we all know that today our pages typically require a lot of styling, but a lot of styling, especially if we're using automated tools for building the pages, can lead to a lot of CSS, large CSS bundles. And this is actually for mobile devices is very, very resource intensive to parse those files and figure out how they affect the page layout and the browser performance. So try to be minimal with this. Pick a good team, pick a good builder.
Well, and not to interrupt you there, because I want to just go off of what BK was saying in the chat. This is complicated stuff. I mean, this is what you do for a living, right? You're the professionals. This is not you pick it up one day and you know how to do all of it. I mean, it's very complex. So we really do appreciate you coming in and kind of pulling back the curtain and showing us some of what this looks like on how you can improve the performance of your website, and how we're talking about. You get the traffic in, how do you convert the traffic, right? So I really appreciate your time, Lvailo. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming in and going through these sites. I really appreciate it. And yeah, this is big stuff.
Yeah, one thing that I just want to add is that for many of these problems, there are automated solutions like Nitropack that are trying to kind of help you in this, because as you can see, it's a lot of things, it's a lot of cases and ways to optimize your web pages. And I do believe that the way to go forward with this is with an automated solution, because otherwise you will be spending most of your time just constantly trying to re-optimize things. Even though if you decide to do it yourself manually, you can do it today, and tomorrow there's going to be an update to some of your plugins or something, or you might want to install something new. This changes everything, and you have to start all over again. Or some new technology comes in, and it's do believe it's just better to leave it to automated tools, and to these tools, they have teams working on just ways to optimize this.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have to be your job. If you're if you're interested in it, it's a nice job. But
Yeah. I
if
love
you
it.
have other goals and you want to achieve them, I
Yeah.
think you should be looking into tooling and
I
automating
love
these
it.
things.
I love it. And that is a perfect note to end on. Lvailo, thank you for your time today. Everybody watching, we do have a survey running. Always, it helps us improve what we bring to you. We're so happy to be here, and we're so happy to be with you all. We do have another session coming up, which is really exciting. Another expert panel, y'all, on UX-driven route to conversions, to maximizing your conversions. So thank you all. Lvailo, thank you so very much. It's wonderful to have you here today. Much appreciated. And everybody watching, we will be back shortly with another expert panel, and we'll be closing out the day with that. So thank you all for being here. Don't forget about the leaderboard contest, where whoever can comment the most and be in there will get a $150 gift card to Cloudways. So thank you all. Lvailo, thank you so very much for being here, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks for
And the
having me.
rest of you, we'll see you back in just a minute.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you.